Let's talk about the current status, how we're viewing Nebraska and head coach Matt Rhule. Last year, full of heartbreak. There's no way around it. There's a need for differentiation, though, from what happened last year than what's happened in the past couple of seasons in Lincoln. Because last year went 7-5, 5 one-score losses. 4 of those came in the last 4 games, which ripped your heart out because you were thinking it was time to be bowl eligible, and quite frankly, it was. But there's going to be a lot of people that see what happened last year and say, oh, same old Nebraska. This always happens. Doesn't matter who's the head coach, we're cursed. That's going to be the attitude. And I understand the sentiment because, hurt people say hurtful things, and I get that, but is it more likely that Nebraska's cursed and they can't get over the hump? Or is it more likely that maybe it was a first-year head coach with the team that's early in their development figuring out how to win close ball games? Because Matt Rhule, to be clear, he wasn't there for a lot of those one-score losses in the previous years. He wasn't there for any of those one-score losses in previous years. He was there for this past season, and those 5 one-score losses, it's a bad look. But when you look at what Matt Rhule has done overall throughout his career, year one's always the most turbulent. It's usually a 3-year build to get to where the pinnacle of this team is going to be. Look at his track record. At Temple, the first year, 2-10. 2-10 makes 5-7 look awesome, just to be clear. Third year there, they won 10 ball games. First year at Baylor, they were ground zero. They were in a much worse place than Nebraska was. Third year, won 11 ball games, played in New Year's Six Bowl, competed for the conference championship. It takes some time. Now, again, Nebraska's at a much better jumping off point than both Temple and Baylor were. But the thing with Matt Rhule and the reason why you brought him to Nebraska is because he's a builder. He's a builder. We've seen it time and time again throughout the course of his career. He builds the foundation, and then once that foundation is laid, that's when you start to see real progress. So don't let the construction site of laying the foundation and all of the ugliness that goes into building deter you from what's eventually going to be built there in Lincoln. Because that's what Matt Rhule has done, again, throughout the course of his career. So what I would do here if I'm a Nebraska fan, I would focus on trajectory. You didn't hire Matt Rhule for 2023. You hired him for the long haul, and the long haul involves trajectory. So what can we talk about when it comes to the future in Nebraska? Well, this past season, went 5-7. We're in position to play in a bowl game. If you had been able to win one of those one-score games to end the year, you were 132nd in the country in turnovers a game. Did not have a quarterback that threw more touchdowns than interceptions. It's not a good look. But here's the deal. That's not going to last. That is an anomaly. That is a one-year deal for Matt Rhule. That is a first-year deal for Matt Rhule. Your offense averaged 18 points a game. I would be wildly surprised if that stayed the same for Matt Rhule and company going forward. And again, they still found a way to be 5-7 and to be in one-score ball games. Y'all, if you score 18 points a game, you should not be in one-score ball games. You should be getting boat raced. That wasn't the case for them. Had a great defense last year. Tony White, he's back for another year as the DC. Had schools wanting him to be their head coach. Back to be the DC for them. Had one of the best defenses, I believe, in America. Going back to what they were offensively, they played 3 different quarterbacks last year. Couldn't get it right. Purdy had a good stretch to end the season for the most part. He showed some things, but it was a revolving door at quarterback. There was no stability at the most important position on your team. And still went 5-7 with a chance to make a bowl game. Now, chances are only as good as you take advantage of them. But even with that being said, talk about trajectory, that has to excite you because you bring in one of the top quarterbacks from the 2024 cycle in Dylan Raiola. All right, now, will he be a copy-paste 5-star kind of cat from the high school level to a 5-star kind of quarterback at the college level? I think that's probably a little bit of ambitious thought to have. But to just have better raw materials at quarterback that you can develop, that you can build around, that can maybe make that extra play for you that those other quarterbacks just quite frankly couldn't from a talent standpoint, that should excite you. That is exciting stuff in Lincoln. That's something you haven't had there in a long, long time. So I'm not telling you you're going to win the Big Ten this upcoming season. I'm not telling you you're going to win the Big Ten in year 3. But I am saying when you look at the trend for Matt Rhule in Nebraska, that has to be encouraging. Last year hurts because it's familiar. Last year hurts because it felt like years previous. But last year was the jumping off point for Matt Rhule. Look at, I just said, he won 2 games in Temple his first year, 1 game at Baylor his first year. They won 5 his first year at Nebraska. He is a builder. They're laying the foundation. and this is something that Matt Rhule preaches, having been in his meeting rooms. He talks a lot about process. That is the word for him. Embrace the process, trust the process, work the process, all those things. Process, process, process. Process doesn't usually provide early results. A process you have to put into for some time, and then you get results. So again, Matt Rhule was not hired for 2023. He was hired for the process that he is implementing at Nebraska, that they are currently going through and embracing. And I think you'll see results here if you trust the process and embrace the long term. So for Matt Rhule and company, I wouldn't be overly concerned about this past season. Is it fun to have this same taste in your mouth of close losses and missing a bowl game? No. Nobody signed up for that. I promise you, Matt Rhule didn't sign up for that. But this is just step one. They're laying the foundation. The fun part is when they start stacking more bricks once that foundation is laid. And I think you'll end up seeing that here in the not too distant future. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.